The narcissist in the throes of a babyish temper tantrum looks very, very unimpressive.
In this video, I will complain about the lack of response from my parents to a protection order that was put in place August of this year, August of 2024, against my estranged husband. That details a lot of abuse, and I will talk about his continued manipulation of the people in my community, in my town. I will complain about his playing the victim, which is still affecting me. And I will talk about projection. I will be including clips of Professor Vaknin, clip from Soldier Up, and a Dr. Romani interview to back up the subjects and the things that I'm talking about related to narcissists. I will also be describing a rage attack that he did in January of 2024, where he almost killed me.
All narcissism is on a spectrum. At the lowest ends, it's Instagram saviors. But the severe end of the spectrum, you're talking about a cult leader. They have low empathy. They will dominate people. They have to get the last word. They get angry very quickly. And that's just the top of the iceberg.
What about the impacts of narcissism on relationships?
Narcissistic people, they can go out in the world and they're able to be charming and charismatic, and narcissistic relationships start strong. They want to get you quick, and then it becomes dismissiveness, manipulation, gaslighting. The world thinks this person's fantastic. A lot of people say, aren't you lucky that you're married to that guy? And behind closed doors, they psychologically destroy you.
I actually look really rough today. I really need to do this video. I am emotionally deadened lately. Oh, I didn't put mascara on it. I put eyeliner but no mascara. I feel so sad about my dad in particular. My estranged husband was abusive for 2 years. I didn't tell anyone about it because I knew that, I still wanted our marriage. I didn't want to hurt his image because I loved him. I loved the person that he presented himself to be. I had to get a protection order, and it's over 40 pages of just what would fall under the definition of domestic violence.
Because you've been drinking. The reason why I can't get much sleep is because of what you asked me tonight. I have questions about it.
You asked them in there. My final approach, you invert directly into a state diet.
I want you to get upset.
Lowest possible altitude. Because you're going to think that something happened that didn't happen. You're going to build a scenario in your head that's going to some sort of sensation, central something that happened there at the church for me to believe.
No, not at the church.
Somewhere else.
Well, I don't.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You think I'm somebody I'm not. And then you tell me you're a good man. I believe you. I trust you. I know you're for it. And then.
You gonna go in there or
you make the call. In there or I'm leaving.
Just tomorrow, because you're too solid right now. You see why?
No, you pissed me off. I'm not going to leave my house. Do you want me to leave you? Do you want me to get away from you?
You're scaring me. Stop.
Take that. If you you want me to get away from you? Leave my own house?
You just threw your drink on the table. It scares me. This kind of behavior scares me.
Because you think I'm somebody I'm not. And I am so sick and tired of it.
I want to tell you my point of view and why that thought came, but it's not that I think that of you. I have a question, but overall, I don't think that of you. I think there's probably an explanation.
Behind what?
I'm not scared to talk to you about it because I think that it's something that would normally make you angry. I'm scared to talk to you about it because right now you're more prone to being angry and taking things the wrong way.
I already know you don't trust me. I already know. And I know that the words you say when you say you believe me to be a good man, you believe that I'm for us, those are false narratives.
They were so false.
Yeah.
I meant it with all my heart.
In that moment. And then all of a sudden, because I asked you if it was a setup?
Yeah, and you said that's why you were so upset. Why was I so upset?
Because you said I was sharing a special moment. Because you were putting on a play.
No. I wasn't.
So you want to be raged?
Huh?
You want to be raged?
No, I'm trying not to be stressed about this, about you throwing the ring, being mad at me.
You told me to please get away from me.
That's because you tossed your drink on the table like a madman. That's why I said get away from me.
You want to see a madman? You want to accuse me of being a madman? Do you?
What is threatening fear thing?
Do you want me to be a madman?
Of course I don't.
And you have no right to call me.
I have every right because you're my wife.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Then we don't have to be married anymore.
Get out. Never call me a
file
bitch.
the divorce papers tomorrow. Get me out of my house. Don't come next to me.
What are you going to hit me?
Yes?
Don't fucking hit me.
We are not married.
So I looked at the definition very carefully, and then I went through my diary and I listed all of the things that fall under domestic violence. I explained a bit of context in terms of our legal situation that we were dealing with, where he couldn't live at home. He had to stay with my parents next door at night because he's a sex offender. The young woman was 17 years old, and he spent 2.5 years in prison. So he's on parole. And for a time there, during our relationship, he wasn't allowed to stay at home because I had my 12-year-old. He's 12 now, but I had mine. And we had a child together. Now we have 2 sons together. They're 4 and 1. And I know I look too old to have a 1-year-old, don't I? God gave me Josiah. So anyway, despite the fact that I have this over 40-page document detailing all of this abuse, my parents still have this air about them that's like they're disgusted with me Like, they can't understand why I can't forgive him, why I can't give him another chance. This good man that he's acting as the worship leader at their church.
Thus, as far as he is concerned, your return to the fold is a triumph, proof of his superiority, irresistibility, and omnipotence. If he perceives you as autonomous, dangerously independent, and capable of bailing out and abandoning him, the narcissist acts the part of the sensitive, loving, compassionate, and empathic counterpart. Narcissists respect strength. They are awed by it. As long as you maintain a no-nonsense attitude, placing the narcissist on probation, he is likely to behave himself. But if, on the other hand, you have resumed contact because you have capitulated to his threats, or because you are manifestly dependent on him financially or emotionally, the narcissist will pounce on your frailty. He will exploit your fragility to the maximum. Following a perfunctory honeymoon, he will immediately seek to control you and to abuse you yet again. In both cases, the narcissist's thespian acting reserves are exhausted, and his true nature and feelings emerge willy-nilly. The facade crumbles, and beneath it lurks the same old heartless falsity that is the narcissist. His gleeful smugness at having bent you to his wishes and rules, his all-consuming sense of entitlement, his sexual depravity, his aggression, his pathological envy and rage, they all erupt uncontrollably. The prognosis for the renewed affair is far worse if it follows a lengthy separation in which you have made a life for yourself with your own interests, pursuits, sets of friends, needs, wishes, plans, and obligations. The more independent you are of your narcissistic ex, the more unrelated you are to him, the more furious he is, and the more likely the new relationship will fail. The narcissist cannot countenance your separateness. To him, you are a mere instrument of gratification or an extension of his bloated false self. He resents your pecuniary wherewithal. He is insanely jealous of your friends. He refuses to accept your preferences or compromise his own. He is envious, dismissive of your accomplishments. Ultimately, the very fact that you have survived without his constant presence seems to deny him his much-needed narcissistic supply. He rides the inevitable cycle of idealization and devaluation. Now, he berates you, humiliates you publicly, threatens you, destabilizes you by behaving unpredictably, fosters ambient abuse, gaslighting, and uses others to intimidate and humble you, abuse by proxy. At this stage of rampant devaluation, you are faced with a tough choice: to live again, to give up all the emotional and financial investments that went into your attempt to resurrect the relationship, or maybe to go on trying, subject to daily abuse and worse. It's a tough choice.
So every time they go to church, they get to see him performing. He performs very well as a man who loves God. He knows just what to say. It's all superficial, but he's an actor. He's like Tom Cruise. He's like Brad Pitt, and his role is man of God, honorable, humble, broken, innocent, naive, and helpless. Please help me. Everybody has abandoned me. I'm a victim of my circumstances, and it's just so unfortunate. And you just can't believe what I've been through. He's lost 2 families because he's a whoremonger. He's a male slut. I mean, there at the end, I'm pretty sure he was with a guy, his employee, 21-year-old employee. Pretty sure if he was messing around with him, he probably still is. My parents don't get this. They can't understand that. So I got stranded a couple of nights ago in my car, and I called my dad. And normally my dad is just, there's an opportunity for him to help you. He's going to help you, He's that kind of a person. And the attitude that I got from him was that of, well, I told you to check, I was going to check your fluids in your car. Why did you take the car? And, you know, he's blaming me, basically, for getting stranded. It's not the fluids. I think it's something more. But anyway, he just acted like it was a big burden. I was like, well, Dad, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'll just call. And I called my pastor's wife. She's so wonderful. She's helped me so much. And she, without hesitation, came and got me and the boys. I mean, it was cold. And I didn't suit them up for being out in the, well, I did. You know, they had a jacket, but my little one only had socks on. I did put shoes on him because I thought, well, I've got heat. And my dad, because I think there's this underlying feeling like, well, your husband should be the one to do this. Why didn't you forgive him so that he could be there to help you? Now we have to help you. Now you're helpless. That's so dumb. Why throw away this good man who just wants to make things right? He'll do anything, he says. And I'm sure he said it over and over again. I would do anything. I'll do anything she wants me to do. Could you please talk to her? You know, there's no telling how much it's brainwashing. He just wants to win. He just is mad that I got away. And what upsets me too is, like, how could any parent read over a document detailing a horrific, abusive marriage with physical violence, with insane things, with bizarre things that he said. Accusation was defined under domestic violence. So I thought, well, harassment is false accusations. He was always, you know, accusing me of things that he was doing. Accusing me of being into people. I just wasn't attracted to this guy. He accused me over and over again of being into him.
They don't process their emotions. They fling them on people. The emotions they don't process, such as the evil they do, because they're perfect. So you cannot process the evil that you do, because in your mind, you're doing perfect. Even if deep down, the little narcissist in there, with their thumb in their mouth, they're pushing that down. And they just can't absorb it. They can't deal with it. So they fling it on people, right? And they get you to react, or they get you to absorb it, and they throw it on you. And they take your energy and they go out there happy again. And I guess I'm getting at is, if you're a reprobate, they can't get forgiveness. So just being with them, you're going to get all of their unforgiveness thrown on you. The covenant relationship you're in with the narcissist, they always speak about it being transactional, right? And you're an object. There's nothing love to do with the narcissist. And when you do not have love, how do you process your sin? So it has an effect on them. It's like a complete curse, right? We all know that. The narcissist is not what you want to be. But when it comes to reaping and sowing, it's almost like I'm getting to the point that they're just they fling everything that they're reaping onto others. And they absorb your energy and continue on. And that's why you're not seeing them reaping. And because you go in the covenant with them and an agreement and a relationship with them, you are absorbing all of their reaping on a daily basis. That's why when they project onto you, they're projecting onto you what they really are. They accuse you of it. The accuser of the brethren it speaks of, right? And when you accept it, you're accepting all of their reaping. What God put into the foundations of this world system is you and your covenants and your consents. And he told you not to be with these individuals. And the narcissist will steal everything out from under you and leave you with an empty soul, with not a dollar in your pocket, and no health, no life at all. And that's why it's imperative that you get away from these fools.
And it's because he was in a long-term affair, a 2-year affair with a narcissist woman. Of course, he's got to throw that shame off of himself onto me, because he's got to make himself feel better about the fact that he's having sex or having an emotional affair with this woman. So
we'll start with mirroring projections. The narcissist projects onto you, attributes to you, parts of himself, his traits, his qualities, his fears, his failures. He attributes all this baggage. He hands it over to you. So, if the narcissist is weak, he would say that you're weak. If the narcissist is stingy, he attributes stinginess to you, and he claims to be generous. If the narcissist is not particularly intelligent, he would say that you are too stupid to understand him. This is called projection, and it's a primitive, infantile defense mechanism.
False accusations. False accusations. Endless false accusations of me cheating on him or wanting to cheat on him. So what parent can look at a 42-page document detailing domestic violence toward their daughter and respond with nothing? Nothing said about that. Nothing said like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you were going through this and you didn't have anybody to tell. You couldn't tell anybody. Right next door to us, daughter, I can't believe that you are enduring this type of abuse. What a horrible man this is. We have to make sure that you never go back with this person. Especially daughter, that is so scary that he admitted to you that he was trying to pick up the fridge, and he told me this in a moment the next morning. Here's what happened, okay? So this is the last rage where he tore everything up, and there were several times when he did this where he would shove me over during this too. At the beginning, when he said, here, let me help you, he had picked up some clothes and used the clothes, but physically shoved me over where I fell on my butt, had a bruise on my butt and on my knee.
It is a form of signaling. If you do not immediately succumb, if you do not immediately instantaneously submit, I'm going to eradicate you and obliterate you and vaporize you and pulverize you. And if you don't believe I can do this, watch me as I become this monstrous animal, uninhibited and unconstrained by any social mores or norms.
Bookshelf, huge bookshelf, flipped over, all the books spilled out. He threw a vacuum. This is this time in particular, okay? He threw a vacuum we had a full-length mirror sideways on the wall. We turned it into like a decorative mirror in our living room. Beveled glass and everything. He threw the vacuum into the mirror. The vacuum busted open, broke, and dust and dirt went everywhere. And the mirror shattered everywhere. Through our stainless steel trash can and dented it. He threw an armchair across the room. He flipped our table. And this is all because, he was accusing me once again of being into this guy at my work, Brandon. And we were both drinking, and I got so mad after he went to bed, because he just went to bed. I'm reeling. I'm like, I can't explain to this guy that I'm not into this person at work. There's nothing going on. He won't listen to me. He's just adamant that there's something going on. And I got so frustrated because he just went to bed. No, how they do. They don't care that you're upset, you're crying. They don't care that they've just flung all of their shame, false accusations on you and decided that was true, that you were cheating on them with this person, and you can't explain otherwise. And so he goes to bed in there, and I'm still fired up. So there was twice when I was physically violent against him. I just went in and started hitting him. Not like punching, but just like you know, smacking his legs. It didn't hurt him, you know, it was just, I was just so frustrated doing laundry, and I started tossing the clothes around, and I was mumbling to myself. Well, he gets up and he says, "Here, let me help you." And then he proceeds to do as I was just describing. He's throwing huge things around. He took all of his music, which he's got probably 1,000 sheets of music, and he was throwing it everywhere. It was crazy.
Why do they go completely out of control? Break objects, attack people, verbally abuse, sometimes become even physically violent, especially the malignant ones, the antisocial, psychopathic narcissists. Why all this? I mean, presumably, losing your temper, being unable to control your impulses, is the exact opposite of being godlike. It's the exact opposite of the grandiose, inflated, fantastic self-image that the narcissist is trying to cultivate.
And so it's a complete jungle mess. And I remember sliding into the kitchen, you know, when you slide into home base when you're playing baseball. It was kind of like that. Like there was a mess everywhere, papers, and I just slid. When I slid into the kitchen, he was trying to pick up the fridge. I didn't realize it until the next morning when he told me. And his intention was to throw the refrigerator on me. And I told my dad this. And there was no like, wow, he could have killed you. He could have killed you. That's dangerous. That's dangerous that you were with this person that was trying to do that. Like, what? Does he not realize that? Can they not receive the information? They'd rather think that I'm nuts? I'm making all of this up? Or, oh, it's the alcohol, like my mom has been saying? Well, you guys shouldn't have been drinking. And, you know, she always lumps me into the problem. And he texted me that he was trying to get me to stop drinking. No, he wasn't. Okay, 2 days before our relationship ended, he said, "I'm not going to drink anymore," because he found out that I told my sister, because he acted like a complete psycho that weekend, and he was drinking. And I told my sister, all I have to do is call the police, because he wasn't supposed to be drinking. He's on parole. I said something along those lines, and he somehow found out about it. So he declared that he wasn't going to drink anymore. He said, "You can drink, but I'm not going to drink anymore." Well, that's not the story he's telling everybody. He's telling everybody that he begged me to stop drinking and for us to get help. I'm the one that set up the counseling. And we went to the counselor, but it still was very clear to me that this man he wasn't normal. Godless, callous, cold. I can't remember what all I said, but he honed in on godless, and he shamed me for calling him godless. Because he's a demon, and it really struck him. It really struck home. The godless part. He's like, oh, he had to fight. Oh my gosh, I almost hit a bird. Buzzard, it was a buzzard. Birdie. So anyway, okay, so I slid into the kitchen, and then couldn't lift the fridge, I suppose. So he ends up going in our room, and I'm crying, and in the insanity, in my drunken state, and in my desperation, I start digging through the rubble, trying to get to him. There's a bookshelf in the way, and I'm crying, and I just want to be close to him. I just want to be near him. I just want him to hold me, even after all of that. And I'm digging through the rubble, trying to get to our room, and he's on the other side of the rubble, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I say, "I'm trying to get to you." And he moved the bookshelf and embraced me. It touched him. It touched that little heart in there underneath the demon. He couldn't believe that I was still wanting to be near him. He couldn't believe it. And the next morning, that's when he confessed to me that he felt bad because here I was trying to get through the rubble to get to him, and he had just tried to lift the fridge. He couldn't because the cupboard was above it. He had just tried to lift the fridge so he could throw it on top of me. And his eyes were wide, and he's a little bit horrified to tell me this. And like I contemplate it later on, and I'm thinking, I'm not safe with this person. He's probably gonna kill me. How can I spend the rest of my life with someone who could kill me, who could very well kill me? And so that was January, I think 26th is when that happened. And I didn't have the ability to leave until June. I tried to leave in May, and that's when he bought a gun, which I will get into. I want to share this about me thing that I've been putting together off and on. I grew up in San Diego. My mom is a narcissist. She is not emotionally warm and negative, critical, plays the victim almost perpetually. And my dad is very passive, good-hearted, kind man. My dad's the reason that I'm alive, probably. Because I thought, what am I seeking here? Why am I doing these videos? It's because I want someone to give a damn. I want someone to care. And yes, I have my pastor and his wife, and I have my sister. So I've got 3 people who fully understand, who fully receive the fact that this person's demonic, that this person is evil, and he did evil, wicked things, and he's a deceiver, a liar. They get it. 3 people said that he got 54 letters from people, and he had to tell me this. It's like, look, all of these people think I'm wonderful. Why don't you think I'm wonderful and good, noble, true? He got 54 letters. He said 2 from Emmanuel, which is the church I go to the judge, asking to not send him back to prison. So he's around. So this just in, whilst I'm making this video by happenstance, just randomly, about my parents not taking the order of protection seriously, not taking my list seriously of the physical abuse, and not taking serious all the other stuff that I listed on there that was that would fall under the definition of harassment or domestic violence. And I allowed my estranged husband to have an extra visit with our sons, our 4-year-old and 1-year-old, for Christmas Eve, and he asked if he could do it at my parents' house because him and my parents are still chubby. And I said, no, I don't think that's appropriate. And you can have your visit at the church, and I will get, I appointed a supervisor like I have to do for his visits all the time. And I said my dad could come and get the kids at 5:30, and then you can, because he said he had gifts from the boys to my parents, I said, well, he can come get them at 5:30, and then you can have them till 6. My parents live next door to me, so just, that'll be like 20 minutes. It's long enough that he can give them the gifts or whatever. And then I asked him later on, after he agreed to this, I asked him last night, are you going to have dinner for the boys because it's going to be from 4 to 5:30. They're going to be hungry. And he said, yeah, I'll do spaghetti. So I was like, okay, great. Did he bring dinner? And he says, no, he brought snacks. And so then I put the pieces together because my dad mentioned spaghetti when I picked up my 4-year-old from his house just a little bit ago. And I'm like, oh I bet my dad's making the spaghetti. And sure enough, he is. So
it's pretty much impossible to see, but that's my parents' house. Those lights right there are on top of their carport that my estranged husband actually built for them. And my husband's truck is over there because here on Christmas Eve, he's having spaghetti dinner with them and exchanging gifts. And he brought all of his gifts for the boys over there, and they're just having an event, even though I specifically said no.
He's just going to do what he wants to do. He doesn't care about how I feel. And I just texted him and I said, these are my parents I've had for over 40 years. And it's not appropriate for you to have events, to have dinners with them, especially with our sons. That's going to be confusing for them in the long run. Like, in other words, I don't want anything to do with you, dude. Why are you in my life? Why are you insisting on having a relationship with my parents? And what's wrong with my parents? Like, if they understood the level of evil that I dealt with, the level of hell that this narcissistically abusive person who acts like a different person behind closed doors for 2 years, so many times of absolute chaos and insanity, if they knew what he did to me at the very end, that caused me to be like, I'm not protecting you anymore. I'm going to report the fact that you bought a gun, and whatever happens, happens. You're in God's hands now. If they only understood, if they only believed me, they don't believe me. They'd believe his freaking lies. They'd rather believe that I'm crazy than he's evil. They'd rather believe that their own daughter is completely insane and making all this stuff up. I don't understand why. Why don't they seek truth? Why don't they want to come to know what actually occurred? Because they know me, they know my heart, they know I don't lie. They don't know him. They don't know him at all. Nobody does. Nobody does except for his ex-wife and probably his mom and his brother. They know him. His stepdad, when they were still talking and we were first dating, told me he's a user and an abuser. He was drunk and he told me this, and I was like, what? He's the nicest guy I've ever met. He's a godly man. There's no way that he's a user and an abuser. What is he talking about? That's no way. But then I thought back to that in the last few months, and I'm like, he was trying to tell me, like, he could see through his stupid show. Like, he knew he was just playing me. It's just crazy. I'm so mad about this. Like, my parents and him, they're just going to do whatever they want. And he's going to keep flattering them. He's a deceiver. He's a seducer. He seduces. Now, not always sexually, but he'll seduce people with the I'm helpless and I need you thing, you know? He's got those demons, the demonic power in him. And so he's able to get at people's desire to help and desire to be needed. And he'll use that. He'll use that to get what he wants. Right now, he can't get at me. He can't come at me because it's order of protection. And my dad said, you realize he's going back to prison, right? And I said, well, I thought he got probation. He said, no, he's going to go back to prison because of the gun charge and because of the order of protection. And he said it in a way that's like, it's your fault. Like, he didn't say it's my fault, but what he didn't say was that, and that's the bed he made and he needs to lie in it. There needs to be some anger on their part. There needs to be some protective, which they've never been that way. But this is like, if there was any time in my life, Dad, that I needed you to step up and say, This is my precious daughter, and you treated her like crap. For years, you cheated on her twice. The ones that he admitted, I'm sure it was more than that. And I do not want to have a relationship with you outside of a very casual acquaintance. You are the biological father of my grandsons kind of a relationship. Not this, I'm going to make dinner for Christmas Eve night and have you come into my home. I need to pray. I need to pray.
They're going to bait you. They're going to bait you. And when I tell you, when they bait you, they don't play.
They go for
everything that's going to
make something else. Start making stuff
up. They start making stuff up. They go after your friends. They draw your friends in it.
Threatening to shame you publicly, whatever it is, right?
And so then some people take that bait, and then the narcissist is like, game on. And they're all I got you. Because when you're fighting, they're fighters. That's what they do. In fact, there was a great research study came out from Ohio State University, Ohio boy, and phenomenal study that came out this year. And over 450 studies they examined and found really strong effects that narcissism is consistently associated with aggression. There's nothing soft about this. This is about aggression. They want the fight. They are always a better fighter.
Oh my gosh.
And they want the fight, so they bait you. You got to be made of steel. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain.
Crazy.
To not get into the fight.
No identity is a mess. Is an absolute narcissist as seriously stupid people, as dummies. The quintessential, epitomized dummies.